Matt again. Today I'm going to show you how to run cold laminate on our little 650 here. So this is a pretty easy feature which needs to be used on most self-adhesive vinyls to make signage and stuff alike, and to mount down to boards and stuff like that. So what we'll do, we've got the machine set up as it comes, yet again, like it is here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take off the top mandrel and just place it down here for a moment. And then I'm going to take off my film mandrel. Just line up my key. He says. And then I've got a roll of cold gloss film here. So we slide the mandrel in, and then basically we come back, we put it in the machine, line up our key, and it drops in place. So we're right out full width on the machine at the moment. So what we're looking at with our cold film here is basically, it's the same web up as pretty much all the films that we use on this machine. So we come down basically under the idler bar. With this film we just bring it to the front, and that's as far as we want to go for now. So that'll spring back. So now I'm going to grab my bottom mandrel and I'm going to grab a cardboard core. And what the cardboard core does, theoretically you could wind it straight on the mandrel, but what the cardboard core does is it collects your backing paper, and then the whole thing can go into paper recycling. So it's a much neater way of doing it than trying to strip it off afterwards. So then what I want to do is I'm going to line up that end. I'm just going to unfurl that roll bit of film first. Then I'm going to drop in my non-keyed side and then line up my key and get my core in place. So now what I want to do with this is I'm just going to tape on my film to the core. So basically we've got our film coming under our idle bar and then onto the core. You can try and split this and then stick the paper and then get the film down, but I find an easier way is with a sharp knife, is just a score cut, which is basically I'm trying to cut through the film and not the paper, which takes a little bit of practice. You can see I've gone a little bit deep in a few spots, but it is well worth mastering, because then you're not fighting with two things at once. And unless you're a lot better than me, I've only got two hands. So basically we bring that down, very similar to all our other setups. So what I'm going to do on this one, because maybe we're going to run odds and bits and pieces, I'm going to put some sacrificial film on the bottom, which means that any excess film and stickiness is going to stick to that and not get wrapped around our rollers and our machine. So from this point I'm going to lift our tray back and remove our lower film roller. So what I've got here is a sacrificial roller film, which is basically, it's very cheap film that will just mask the back of the machine and stop any chance of it wrapping up and making a big mess that we'll have to unwrap later. So basically I'm looking at putting my backing film on, lining it up with my film, removing my tape off it, and then basically bringing it up to meet my cold film. So I'll give that a little bit of slack and then I'll drop my tray back in again. So from that point we're pretty much ready to feed the film through the machine. So what I'm using here is just not too heavy a weight, but just a piece of scrap card. So I'm going to back this off a little bit by hand, back this off a little bit by hand. That just makes it easier for me to get it into the rollers to start with. And then I'm going to come around and grab my handle, bring it all the way to the lowest lock spot. And then what I'm going to do is press auto. and my film will now start feeding through the machine. So I'm then going to move around to the back and keep an eye on the back of the machine to make sure my feed card comes out. If I hadn't seen it by now, I'd be going, well, it's going wrapping around or going somewhere it shouldn't. And to also make sure it goes through our guide plate. So now that's basically our film set up for cold. And we've got our sacrificial backing film on it as well. So I'll stop it there. And then I'll grab a print and we'll put a print through it. So as you can see, this film is wider than the print, so that's why we need our sacrificial on it. If we didn't have it on there, then this would remain sticky and basically catch on things in the rear of the machine. So basically I can just feed my print in, and then basically I'd usually go round to the back of the machine and have a look what's going on at the back, just to make sure everything looks fine before I'd just speed it up and put my poster through. So that's our feed card coming out now. And we've now got our laminated print coming through. So now I'm quite happy with that running fine. So now I can feed the print through. Now that our print is laminated and come out and is out the back, so you can basically see what the sacrificial film is doing. It's maintenance this isn't sticky. If we didn't have it, this would be really sticky. It would have stuck to there, would have stuck to the rollers and done all sorts of basically nasty things. So I've just used the little knife on the back of the machine to cut that off. So there is our gloss laminated cold print. I'll be back shortly with another video to show you. We're now going to mount that onto a board and actually make it a piece of art. So we'll be back in the next video. Thank you.